there was fraud caught all over the place. Not only was he embezzling money, there were ballots in his home, there were ballots in his office. The guy was finally arrested. Now, his court case has been pushed off 10 times. Where is the justice?
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live Workshop Play Show. And many people in this state think that California, Minnesota, we're hearing all the news. They think, oh God, these states are lost. All the people are crazy out there. They're anti America, they're anti this. But with my today's guest is going to really throw a curveball into that. I've got Kim Yeater with Take My Power Back. Kim, welcome to the show today.
Ah, Joe Mullins, it is an honor to be back with you. And come on, sunny Florida.
Kim, you just were here in Florida, and I thought,
Yes.
well, Kim's moving here. She's given up on California. She's moving here. And to my listeners, y'all got to understand, Kim is a patriot. She is
Mhm.
out there fighting for this country, fighting for this, for our freedom, for our
That's
rights.
right.
And Kim, where are you located?
So I am in sunny San Diego, California, known as a sanctuary state right now.
So Kim, to our listeners that think California's gone, that think, oh God, it's going to break off, fall in the ocean. I remember hearing that growing up and as a child, the
Of course.
hurricane and God,
Yeah.
the hurricane, the earthquake and God, we're going to break California off. And so I bought a lot of property in Phoenix thinking I'm going to be on the ocean front here soon. Well, it still hadn't happened. And I doubt that'll happen in my lifetime, but you never know. It could. We find cities under the ocean all the time. But California, when I went out there, I noticed the old California that I always seen, beautiful parts of it.
Mm,
It's something that I looked up and I said, "Do we
that's
really
right.
have to give California away to
That's
the
right.
liberals? Do we really have to
Mhm.
break that part of the state off?" You're defying everything that the media is saying out there. And it's not just you, there's a big following. Tell the listeners about what's going on in California. It kind of reminds me of that movie we watched where it was Take California after the Holocaust, or not the
Yes.
Holocaust, the end of the world, the big
Yes.
nuclear war, where they had a few rebellion parties that were out there fighting to not let the machines or whatever take over. You guys are doing that, but it's not a small group of people.
That's
Tell
right.
our listeners what's really going on in California.
Well, we've put a stake in the ground, Joe. We said, you know what? We're not going to sit here and let our beautiful state be taken from us. And so there's a team of us called Take Our California Back. And Joe, I was just a mom, like, all the other moms, many kids. My kids were playing sports. Life was super, super busy. But I knew something was wrong the day that my vote got stolen. The day I went to vote and they told me I had already voted, and the couple before me. That was the awakening for me after 2020 that something was not right. Fast forward, I was with Mike Lindell at the Moment of Truth Summit, and that was the eye opening for me that the system was broken. We were being cheated, our voices were being silenced. And at that moment, I remember standing up in that audience when Mike Lindell kept saying, Salem Radio, where are you? Salem Radio, where are you? Right? Because they were broadcasting this live, the whole Tina Peters selection code, the Rosetta Stone of election fraud. And Joe, in that moment, God said, stand up and speak. And I am not kidding. I stood up in that crowd. There were probably 1,000 people in that room. I was in the middle of the room and I yelled out, Mike Lindell, I'm Kim Yeater from the Take Your Power Back show on Salem Radio, and I will get every bit of this on the air. I had no idea what God was going to do. He said, speak it as if it is. And everything unfolded there. Everything from canvassing our counties, exposing the election fraud, to the Take Our Border Back movement across the country, reaching hundreds of millions. And now the stake in the ground. We're not moving. Take our California back. Partnered with leaders across the state, the governor candidates, traveling the state right now and educating people as to election transparency and election reform and a real solution to take the state back.
Now, Kim, how we met and the listeners, so they understand, you guys, when Biden was president and
Yeah.
he had that damn border wide open,
Oh,
flowing
yeah.
people in. Y'all did a strong stance on take our border back. Y'all actually swept across the country, said, hey, we're in California. We're not promoting this. We're not for it. We're in Arizona. We don't want this stuff going on. We don't like stepping over people in our streets. We don't like having to watch. I mean, for a woman in heels, and I learned this very early on, you guys have to watch stepping in holes because you could break
Oh.
your ankle. I remember going out to
I've done it,
California.
just so you know, I've done it.
Yeah, I've seen
I
it,
broke
and
my
I've
ankle.
watched it, and I've also ran in front of
Yeah,
a female who was following me, and she fell, and I went, "Oh my god, this ain't gonna be pretty when I get over there to pick her
right.
up," because she's but you didn't have to just worry about stepping in potholes, you had to worry about stepping in feces,
That's
human
right,
feces all over the curbs,
that's right.
everywhere where they just were it almost reminded me, you and I lived in San Diego when I was in college, and I worked with
Mhm.
Tony Robbins,
Yes,
amazing speaker,
love
great
Tony.
guy,
Mhm.
worked with the Chargers, worked with Junior Seau. We'd always go down to the border to Tijuana. And I
Yeah.
remember walking around in certain parts, you had to watch what you stepped in. And it
Oh,
was
yeah,
like, oh my God, that's LA now. That was California when I went out there. I was like, oh my
yeah,
God, is this
yes,
Tijuana? Is it come up and taken over? People didn't realize that. And I thought to myself, do people really in California okay with this? But then I met you and I realized y'all aren't okay with this. Y'all want the border closed.
that's
Y'all
right.
want the place secure and
That's right.
safe.
That's right.
So, I
Joe, we knew that the border being open was the Trojan horse. We knew that this was the takedown of America. And I'm always in a place of if it's on my watch, if it's in my area, then I'm responsible. Right. So when we launched the Take Our Border Back movement, I had already been to the border. I experienced, I saw it with my own eyes. I had people reporting for me weekly on my show as well. So when we were bringing this into the light, it was to sound the alarm that this is Article 4, Section 4, a national breach of security. It's happening on our watch. So it wasn't just a poop on the ground in San Francisco and LA and San Ysidro and on the border. It was the devastation of these illegals coming in that were coming in from other countries, being released from prison and leaving people dead. Okay, that's the reality. Raping, pillaging, stealing. This was is an absolute culture war. We knew that they wanted to take us down. And we said, it's not gonna happen. We gotta stand up. We gotta let the American people know. Joe, do they keep us so busy? They keep us so busy on our social media, the games. It's like the gladiator days, right? Get them excited about the Super Bowl. Keep them entertained. They won't know what hit them. They won't know what's going on behind the scenes. There's a clear agenda to take America down, and the agenda is demonic.
but Kim, why would Governor Gruesome, Gavin Gruesome, why would this clown be okay with this? Because this to me is, I mean, let's look at this. It's not a crime unless it's $1,000 or more. You and I are walking down the street. And let's say, are you let's just do this. You and Gavin Newsom are
Yeah.
walking down the
All
street,
right. Come on, Gavin.
and some guy comes up and grabs your necklace or your purse, and your purse just happened to not be a Louis Vuitton or anything. It happened to be from a normal store, but you had a lot of, your ID, your credit cards,
Yes.
and the police came up and said, "Ma'am, what do you value everything?" Well, probably 500. The purse was 500. It's not enough to worry about. Is he actually gonna defend and say, "I'm okay that the woman I'm walking with just got robbed and it's okay, it's not enough to really worry?"
It's the law. It's the law.
I don't
He
understand that.
voted it in. He allowed it. So many of the things, I mean, AB 495 got voted in. You can go and take my kid out of school. You can do that, Joe, without my permission. Do you understand that? It's sick. You wonder why we've got this human trafficking. So, why would somebody like Gavin Newsom allow this? We voted him in. I mean, we know the elections are stolen. So, do we really vote him in? Where the people's voice really heard? There's a lot of red in California. The thing is, you got to ask, who does Gavin Newsom serve? Does he
Yeah.
serve God? Does he serve truth? Follow the money. Follow who is he connected to? He's connected to Pelosi. He's related to Pelosi. I mean, during COVID, he's masking us up, demanding us to follow the rules. And he's having dinner at the French Laundry when we're all locked up in our houses. Something is so wrong. So you know a tree by its fruit. We clearly see the fruit of Gavin Newsom and it stinks.
Well, you see this with many of the elected officials on that side. I had a show with Senator Scott the other day, and I said, "This is not the Democratic Party we grew up." I grew up in Georgia. We were
Yeah,
known to be Democrats 20, 30 years ago.
yeah.
It was the party of the working man. It was the party of God. It was the party of the good old-fashioned values and morals. That is not what the Democratic Party is today. They
It's
let
not.
it get away. They've let it get
Well,
away from them.
it got infiltrated, and so if
Yeah.
we really peel back the layers, what we're seeing is socialism and Marxism, and we can call Marxism the mind virus. It has infiltrated itself into the Democrat Party, but it has also infiltrated itself into the Republican Party. So it's on all sides at its highest levels, and there you find discord, you find division. I mean, it's unfortunate. This is the fruit of our country right now. So I believe that there are good people in the Democrat Party. I mean, look at Bobby Kennedy, right? Look at the Kennedy family. I mean, we've always loved the Kennedys. We love them. They were Democrats. I mean, we were so excited when Trump and RFK joined forces. Was that not like the bomb? That's the kind of Democrats that we want. People that we might have differing values and views, but they're not sadistic, they're not demonic, they're not hateful, they're not vengeful. That is an infiltrated infiltration of Marxism in our country,
Well,
I
Kim,
believe.
we just recently have seen the FBI come into Georgia and raid all that wasn't a scam. All that's now proving
Oh,
true.
yeah.
I had a very good friend who's a business partner of mine. He was the first guy to get arrested or turn himself in, the bail bondsman, Scott Hall. He gone in with video and he shared this stuff with me. I saw it. I saw where they were bringing ballots out of bags that were pulled out
Crazy.
of cars the next day. The
Yeah.
next day, they were only checked for the president. They didn't have anyone on the down ballot. I saw the video of them. I saw it with my own eyes, and I said, "This kid, who just goes out and does a bunch of ballots for president and doesn't vote anything else on it?" I said, That's very suspicious. And where the hell did they come from of an open bag, not locked, from next door? Where did that come from? So I saw that, and it's real. And I sat there and said to myself, you know, there's some truth to this. Well, now here the FBI looking at it, we're this isn't a fathom that we've made up. It's not a scam that we've made up. It's now some merit to it. And you feel California has suffered the same.
Oh, Joe, it is, it's funny. I just led the California Governor Showdown, right? And we had 13 governor candidates on our stage. And when I have Dr. Douglas G. Frank, world-renowned physicist, election fraud expert in 28 in 48 states. So here we were, and we brought up elections. They knew nothing about our election system, not really. It's like, let's just go too big to rig. And people don't understand. We lost all across the country on a local level, right?
Yeah.
So the reality is, I said to them, guys, do you understand you're putting in all of this work as governor candidates? But what's going to happen? The system hasn't changed. It's still stolen from President Trump's mouth. California's elections are rigged. I'm about to enter San Joaquin next week. This is a county in California. We're bringing the governor candidates there. We had just brought the governor candidates to a county called Shasta. Shasta is the epicenter of election transparency. The gentleman Clint Curtis, who is the ROV clerk, he was the guy that was hired by the Bush administration early on to come in and create the code to flip the vote. Let me tell you, when Clint Curtis realized how they were going to use this, he became the whistleblower. He left the Republican Party, went to Congress, became the whistleblower, saying, hey, I'm the one that created the code that can flip the vote in the machines, right? What did Congress do? Silence. That's exactly what Congress did. Now, We are in the exposure as we speak. So I brought these governor candidates to see with their own eyes what can be done with election transparency. Clint Curtis created a system that allows the people to see everything. That ballot going into the tabulator, because by law, we have to have a tabulator by law in the state of California. And we'll see everything coming out. It is screened, it is live, it is full transparency. We're working with counties across the state to take this on. This is going right back to President Trump's call of action, which is paper ballot, one day voting, voter ID. That's exactly what we want. Now, in San Joaquin, there's a gentleman. I don't know if I'd call him a gentleman. Let's say a crook, a deceiver called Shakir Khan. This guy literally was having people fill out a ballot for him, fill out a ballot for Biden, right? There was fraud caught all over the place. Not only was he embezzling money, there were ballots in his home, there were ballots in his office. The guy was finally arrested. Now, his court case has been pushed off 10 times. Where is the justice? He has not been tried yet. He has even been able to take off the ankle brace and go to Pakistan and come back. Are you kidding me? Are we allowing these crooks to exist? And this is a guy from Pakistan who is an elected official who is stealing the ballots, having people sign ballots for Biden. Absolutely not. So we have a press conference on the 16th in San Joaquin, and we've got governor candidates and additional candidates coming to this event, along with Clint Curtis and Dr. Douglas G. Frank. So, Joe, we're not sitting back on our laurels. We're fighting to keep this state. You want an earthquake? You want to split the state? We're going to do it by taking the state back.
Now, Kim, you were just talking about some different things with California. We just had the Super Bowl. The halftime show. Let's get into that. So they said, "Oh,
Oh,
California." I think people were a little upset that it was in San Francisco. I think they felt like, "Oh, San Francisco." People are getting the stigma that California is the enemy, not people in California or certain people, but California in itself is the enemy.
yeah,
And that's the sad thing because that's a beautiful city. I went
it
to the
is.
city a few months ago. Amazing city. I did see a homeless guy. He was going up to tourists. He was jumping on them, screaming at them, talking to them,
Gee
just all
whiz.
kind of nasty, just filthy, screaming, yelling, drunk as he could be. He was homeless, and these kids were crying. And I couldn't imagine walking with my kids and going
Mm.
through that. Um, but I did see all that. It was blew me away. But the Super Bowl itself, the halftime show, I watched both. I kind of streamed back and forth. I didn't notice
TPUSA
anything
and yep.
bad. I know that some of the listeners are going to get upset with me. I didn't see anything bad with what Bad Bunny was doing. I did see this, and I did think of this. Yes, people are arguing they wanted to give the world a different view. They wanted to represent other people in the world. Let me ask you this: if that's true, have you ever heard of the Super Bowl coming up and saying, "Let's do a Christian act for halftime"? I haven't either.
Never, ever, ever. I'll
That's
tell
a
you
big
what,
part of the world.
here's the thing, and this is hard for people to understand, but I really believe that the people, Joe, they're beginning to wake up. They're beginning to see that the enemy is evil, the enemy is demonic. And what we experienced with that, and it seemed like, oh, it's fun. They're speaking Spanish, but you've got words have the power to bring life or death. The words we speak are the choice morsels we'll eat. We don't understand Spanish. Most of us, there's a lot of people in California that do, but in the country, no, it's not our first language. And we have to work really hard, even if we have studied Spanish, right? So the reality is listen to the words. And I challenge everybody, go back, listen to the words that
I
were
didn't understand the
spoken.
words because I couldn't I
Exactly.
don't even know if that was Spanish. It was so fast, but Puerto Ricans tend to talk fast. They
Yeah.
get
Wait, wait,
excited.
wait.
They
I,
talk
I'm sorry. Did I say Spanish? It was Puerto Rican, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
it was
think it was
Puerto
Puerto
Rican,
Rican.
it
I
was
don't know why I
Spanish,
said
but
Spanish. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't
100%.
again, I
Yeah,
always say this about Puerto Ricans. I have a lot of them that work for me. They're great workers, great, but when they
yeah,
get emotional, they speak so fast Spanish. I go, even if I understood
yeah,
Spanish, I couldn't follow what you're
yeah.
saying. That's somebody speaking English so fast that you'd go, "Can you slow down and
Yeah.
let me comprehend what you're saying first?" But it was I didn't understand it. But I also heard, "Oh, he burned a flag at Su." I didn't see him burn a flag. So some of these stories get so out
Joe, they
there.
scrubbed his social media right after that event. If you follow this guy, he's the dress wearer, he's the one
Oh,
eye
yeah.
Illuminati guy. I mean, this guy is not a guy that is a role model for our children. And the language that was spoken was not the kind of language we want our children to hear. And our children were watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the
It's not a
reality. A
family event.
horrible example. And let's go deeper. So when we really peel back the layers, you bring Lady Gaga in. If you know anything about spirit cooking, Abramovich, if you know about the demonic Illuminati, what these guys do, this is not conspiracy anymore. Look at the Epstein files. They are talking about the spirit cooking. They're talking about the sacrifice of children. Lady Gaga is tied to that demonic. She would be considered the high priest of the let's say in that Hollywood arena. She's been trained up by Abramovich. When she is there with this guy, this is an absolutely ritualistic event that we allowed happen on our watch before the entire world. There's a reason why they call it television. Okay, the demonic needs to let you know what they're doing. And by watching this, we are agreeing to it unconsciously and sometimes consciously. That's what we're dealing with. I know it seems so far off the spectrum, but if people begin to pay attention to what's really been happening behind the scenes, the Epstein files, the demonic, you're seeing these kids rescued with human trafficking. Peel back the layers, guys, wake up. We are in the time of awakening. This is good versus evil, light versus darkness. And the Bible calls us to guard the heart, for it is the wellspring of life, and to flee from evil, to have nothing to do with evil. So when I flipped over, Joe, and I began to watch TPUSA, I was like, he's talking about drinking, he's singing about, it's kind of the old American, I'm drinking my beer, checking out my girl. I was like, okay, well, how is this that different? I mean, it's like a little less, but I was kind of like, okay, it's like you have two evils. Now, thank God, TPUSA went on to have Kid Rock. His first song I personally didn't like, but when he started talking about Jesus and started singing about Jesus, I mean, we need to hear that. That's good. But I'm going to be straight. We're called to live by example. So if
Right.
we're singing one song, right, that's all about Jesus, but then we're singing this other song about, underage girls. And I mean, it's, you got to ask yourself, where's the truth? Where's the truth? Where's the person that really is following Jesus? That would be my call to action for every single person that puts themselves in a limelight, in a place at the like the light on the hill. We're called to be that light in the hill and lead by example.
Well,
So,
Kim, as we wrap up here, I remember speaking of San Diego and working with Tony Robbins. Tony said
yeah,
one of the biggest tools is distract a person over here with
that's right.
drama and chaos
That's right.
and stuff, and then you can quietly move things in. And I want our public to think all this noise over here, all this chaos, all this
Yes,
craziness, it's stuff moving in on us when we're not
that's
even paying
right.
attention.
That's
The
right.
noise of the Super Bowl distracted us from many, many different things. The noise in politics distracts us. The noise of the voting, it distracts us from being focused and paying attention.
Mm,
And, at some point, we're smart Americans. We're smart. We're a smart country. We're a
yes, we
country
are.
that is not only well educated, but we're also a country well lived and well versed. We're better than this and we can do it. Kim, I
Come
want to
on,
thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for coming in today. And we'll be talking more about California versus Florida. I think we need to do a few more shows as we go
go.
through the
Come on.
election because Florida's under attack as well. We've got
Yes,
2 Democratic mayors now that we didn't have before. So we need to wake up and see it's the same thing that happened to you guys. And what is the trend that normally happens on the East Coast? 3 years before
that's
is
right.
happening on the West Coast.
The frog in the pot. Come on, Florida, take your state back.
We do. Thank you, Kim. And listeners, have a great weekend. But remember, this is our state, but it's also our country. We need
Mhm,
to stand there for all 50, not just one of the 50.
mhm.
Let's fight. Let's stand and let's take our California as we have taken our borders back, and let's come together as a country again. Have a great weekend.